Hey everybody, so I'm going to show you how to use Statcrunch that's included with your book. So we're here on the home page of what your My Math Lab would look like. So on the left here there are a couple things that you should notice. One is the ebook, which hopefully some of you are using, and the other here is Statcrunch, which if you click on that will take you here. And so to the left we have some data sets that have been loaded in based on your book, and we'll use some of these data sets throughout this semester. If this comes up, you should just say allow, and it'll open up something like this. So there's a couple different ways that we can proceed from here. One is we could load data from a file, which we would use this button here called data to do. Another thing we could do is we could load data from the book, which would give us something like this. So let's say that we loaded body temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit of healthy adults. Now for your homework you're going to want to enter in the values of the different team salaries, and in the future when you are trying to find the mean or standard deviation of data you'll want to enter it in to the column manually. But since this is already in for us, we can now go to Stat, and then we'll click on Summary Stats, which is the first one that comes up. And then we'll click Columns, which tells the program that our data is organized in the vertical direction. So it's now asking us which columns we want. And since we haven't given the columns a title, it's picking the title from the header here, var1. So why don't we take var1, and that means that we've selected it because we see it over here. And we'll just leave these blank for now. And then the next thing we're going to do is hit Next. Here you can see the different statistics that it will allow you to calculate. So a bunch of them have already been selected for you over here, like the sample size, which is n, and the mean, the variance. Some of these we haven't learned yet, so we will not talk about those. But it'll also calculate things like the median, the Q1 and Q3, essentially give you your 5-number summary. So to get that, we're going to hit Calculate. Once we hit Calculate, we get a nice little report like this, and this basically tells us that for the data that's loaded here in column 1, which looks like it's body temperatures, and it looks like there are 106 about data points, we have these results. So we have 106 data points, the mean is 98.2, the variance is 0.388, the standard deviation, and then it also, we don't have to worry about the standard error right now, we'll get to that later. But then it also gives us the median, the range, the min, the max, Q1 and Q3. So if we want, we can take this and we can copy it so we can include it on a homework report or on any report that we're doing. We can also save it to a file or save it to the website or print it, of course. The other thing that we should look at how to do is, let's say instead we go to this button here, which is Graphics. So for graphics, we have a whole bunch of options, including things like a stem and leaf diagram, for instance. And if we pick the stem and leaf diagram, we're going to select our column again. Then we'll hit Next. And then we're going to say don't trim any outliers. So, and let's create our graph. And so as you can see, it gives us a nice stem and leaf diagram for those 106 numbers. And it tells us that the decimal point is at the colon. So this means 96.5, 96.9. Again, we can export this stem and leaf diagram. We could also do, let's say, a histogram. We'll pick our column, and we'll decide on the type of histogram we want. We might want a density histogram, we might want a relative frequency histogram, or we might just want a regular frequency histogram. And we can also start and end our classes at different widths. So start bins at tells it where we want to start. So let's say we're going to start it at 96. And let's say we want each bin or each class to essentially be 0.2 wide and display values above bars if possible. So then we hit Create Graph, and there you go. It gives us a histogram. These are our temperatures, our body temperatures down here. You can see someone has a temperature as low as about 96.6, but most of them are centered pretty close to around 98.6 as we would expect. So these are just a couple examples of how to get started. In the case